All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and for being here today. We love helping you by sharing this educational information. I hope that you enjoy being here. We do these webinars 2, 3, sometimes up to 5 times a week to be able to bring you helpful information that contains actionable items, things you can do right now to help your family when you have a special needs loved one. So I am Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group, and I'll go through the rules of the road a little bit before we get started. First of all, like I said, we're going to be here for about an hour. I cannot hear you or see you, so feel free to enjoy your lunch, have a snack, whatever. Come and go as you please. We will record this, or we are recording this webinar. And after we're finished today, we're going to send you the slides, and we are going to send you a link to the recording, which will be on our YouTube channel. Everybody who registered for this webinar will receive that information later on today. Since I can't hear you or see you, it would be really helpful if you have any questions or comments, just put those in the chat box. I'll be able to see them and get to as many questions as I possibly can while we're having our chat today. And that's how I like to view it, as a chat amongst friends. We're all parents, we're all doing the very best that we can. And we're all here to help each other. So please feel free to put any questions or comments that you have in the chat box, and I'll get to as many of those as I can. And if I am unable to get to your question, please know that we offer a free consultation that you can schedule through our app. It is very easy. It's about a 30 to 45-minute Zoom consult. We'll answer any questions that you have and be able to take care of you, make sure all your questions are answered. All right. So who is Consolidated Planning Group? Why should you even be here listening to me talk about transitioning to adulthood with your loved one? We are special needs financial planners. So we focus on things like protection plans for your family, lifetime care plans, figuring out that future cost of care for your loved one, planning for transition, that magic moment when they turn 18 and suddenly, in the eyes of the law, they are adults legally, even though in our hearts, they're still our children and they will always be our children. A lot of things happen at this transitional phase, and that's what we're going to be talking about today mostly. We help families with ABLE accounts, life insurance, investments, understanding the benefits that they can get from Social Security and federal programs and state programs, and then helping to advocate for you and educate you. Allison, the owner of our company, Consolidated Planning Group, she has 2 kids who have disabilities. And so that's when she decided, let's help other families who are going through this navigate the murky waters, because it can be really chaotic and stressful. And there's a lot of noise out there of advice and things you have to do. And what websites do I go to? And who do I call? And we can help clear out some of that noise and calm the chaos and give you the right path of what is available to you and what are good things that you need to be looking out for. So across the United States, there are over 263,000 financial planners, according to the Bureau of Statistics, Labor Statistics. So what we want you to know is that we are located in Houston, just outside of the Houston area. And we've been doing this for over 30 years. We are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, and we are also National Certified Social Security Advisors. So even though we're based in Houston, with the magic of the internet, we are able to serve families all across Texas and all across the United States. We've got some big things coming for 2024 that we are so excited to share with you. But out of that 263,000 financial advisors in the United States, fewer than 0.1% of all of those specifically focus on special needs planning. That's fewer than 200. So when you're with Consolidated Planning Group, you are really in the right spot in terms of financial advisors who really understand what you need to do for your special needs loved one, how you can plan for your retirement and your spouse's retirement, and live, 20 or 30 years in your retirement, but also understanding that you have somebody who you care for who might always need your care and your dollars. And that almost is like a third bucket of retirement money. So with people struggling to save for their own retirements, we can help you understand how you can both save for your retirement and save the money and the benefits that your child needs. So today we're going to talk about launching your teen into adulthood, when they have some differences. First of all, we feel that it's very, very important for you to understand to keep realistic expectations. There are different paths for everybody. Everybody, wants to focus on the best parts of their kids and their family. Of course, everybody does. So when you go on Facebook, you're not really seeing real life. You're seeing a whitewashed, beautiful picture of somebody's life. So please don't compare your child to other people's children, your family members, your neighbors, comparing excuse me, comparing milestones. It's just not a good thing to do for any child, really. We want you to, kind of focus on understanding your own child's needs, their strengths, their areas where they have roadblocks, what is important to them, what do they love, and maybe they're going to go on a non-traditional path after high school. Maybe they're not just going to go straight from high school to a 4-year college and go live on campus. That people have come to, I think, feel like that's the traditional way forward after high school, right? But that's not necessarily true for everybody. There are children who go to trade schools, or maybe they get a certification or a license instead of a full college degree. Some kids choose to delay the driver's license, not really worry about that too much. Maybe they go to the Texas Workforce Commission's vocational rehab training and get help from their programs. There are registered apprenticeships. You can think about having a reduced course load in college, or, maybe they want to take those college courses, but they prefer to live at home and still have that support while they're in school. That's fine. It's all fine. What we want you to do is focus on the positive with your kids. Mention the great things that they're doing, and they'll keep doing more great things. And you'll be surprised at how many great things they can do. Many people say if a flower isn't growing in a particular place, you don't blame the flower, right? You might have heard that analogy. My favorite analogy is to think of it like popcorn. I love popcorn. I make mine on the stove because that's the way my grandpa did it. And, you put the popcorn kernels in the pot on the stove, in the same oil, on the same burner. You're doing the same thing for all of those popcorn kernels, but they never, ever pop all at the same time. Some are early. Most are kind of in the middle. And then you always have some stragglers and even some popcorn kernels that don't pop at all. And that's all fine. You don't blame the kernel for not popping. It just is what it is. And for me, I love all the popcorn kernels equally because that's really my favorite snack. So when you're thinking about finding a good fit, whether it be a school or a vocational program or even a residential community, you want to think about various options. You want to keep an open mind. Think about, different schools and colleges. Of course, price is a huge factor. Think about the school's ability to deal with your child's abilities. Do they have programs in studies that your child is interested in? Do they have programs for kids with disabilities to make it easier for them to transition to college life? Of course, location is important, whether it's a public school or a private school, whether there are scholarships available, all of that is very important. Would your child do better in great big classrooms or in smaller class sizes? And how can you make all of that happen? Think about the extracurricular activities that your child loves. Do they have a good art program at this school or whatever situation your child is going into after high school? Because high school can't be there forever. It's a good fit when your child is, all the way through grade school, elementary, middle school, high school, all the way up sometimes until age 21 or 22, your child can stay in high school. But you need to think about the extracurricular activities they love and how they can continue those things beyond high school. Maybe they're in a band program and they love band. So how can you help continue that? Maybe they're an artist or a chef. And there are all kinds of great classes that they can take to learn more of those skills that they're really interested in. Think about a career path that your child might like and how you can start helping them get interested in finding out about that career. Do they love animals? Do they love working with children? Things like that. Maybe they can start volunteering to get a taste of what that career path really feels like. And then the work setting. Finding a good fit in terms of work setting is really important because maybe your child would say, oh, I really love animals. I want to work at a zoo. And you think about that work setting, there's going to be a lot of outdoor activity, walking around with the animals. It might be loud. It might be kind of stinky. There might be a lot of people there. Is that an environment that your child can thrive in? So if not, then what do? Maybe you look for jobs where your child can still work with animals, but it's a little smaller and quieter of a setting. Or maybe your child really would do best in a work environment where they're kind of by themselves and it's quiet and they're sitting at their desk doing their own thing, maybe even with their headphones on. And that's okay for the work environment. Maybe they would fit into something really good like that, but they're interested in something that doesn't have that type of work setting. So you have to help your child kind of manage their expectations of finding that great fit between the career that they want and the setting that they need. Okay, so just be careful about that. Of course, there are some accommodations that can be made both in the college setting and in work settings. So when your child goes to college or starts taking college courses, the information from high school and from previous educational years does not just transfer over. And I mean like the IEP, that kind of stuff. You don't just transfer over your IEP from high school to college. You have to work with the school, talk to their offices of special needs or disability office, whatever they call it. They all have differences. Some schools have really, really great counselors who help with the Office of Disabilities and can really help your students. Some have programs that are, a lot less robust and informative. So think about looking into those ahead of time before you go away to school, of course. You can have accommodations for your SAT and AC testing, any AP tests, even for college courses and graduate level exams. But you need to look into that ahead of time. Find out what those companies, the SAT and the ACT, those companies are what, like Praxis and College Bound and all those companies that host those tests. Find out what their regulations are, what requirements they have to prove that you need an accommodation for your child. What accommodations do they need and why? And these companies might want to see updated testing. If you don't have any testing done within the past like 3 to 5 years, and you say, oh, my child needs this, they might want to see some updated proof that your child needs help. Another thing to be aware of is that when your child goes away to college, and they're over 18, they're an adult, and there is no reason. As a matter of fact, the colleges don't want to talk to parents anymore. There's no reason that they have to talk to us. Yeah, we pay. We pay a lot and they're happy to take our money. But if you just call up and ask about your students' grades or attendance or financial aid even, they're not going to be willing to talk to you unless you have a FERPA on file. The FERPA is a form that will give you as the parent access to the information that you need to know about your child in their college setting. And you can go ahead and get that form filled out ahead of time, send it into the school, and then they'll be able to share information with you. Even if your child does not have any sort of disability or special need, you should have those on file for any kids. You also want to think about having a power of attorney and a healthcare power of attorney for any of your children who are 18 and older. My child is 22 and my other child is 20. My 22-year-old lives in Chicago. So if something happens to him, other than the prayer that his roommates will call me, I mean, the hospitals in Chicago, the schools in Chicago, nobody knows to call me. So I do have a power of attorney and a healthcare power of attorney for my son, just in case he can't reach out. Hopefully the doctors now will be able to reach out if they have my contact info. Now, when it comes time for your child to go to work, whether they go to school after, like, they continue their education or instead they go work someplace, there are job accommodations as well. And any workplace is required to take care of reasonable accommodations. So things like installing handrails or ramps, or providing an interpreter maybe, or allowing the employee to sit when they should normally be standing. Reasonable accommodations. Now, what is a reasonable accommodations? It cannot pose an undue hardship to the workplace. So, maybe they're going to put in a ramp or put in handrails, but they're not going to move their entire facility to a new location because one person needs that. That would be an undue hardship, right? You can check out more about that on the Department of Labor website. There's also a job accommodation network website. When you get these slides later on today, these links will be clickable. And please, there are several links throughout this presentation. So if you get to one that doesn't work, please let me know. Send me a little note. Just an email is fine if you find a link that doesn't work, so I can go in and fix it for next time. Okay, so this page is a listing of some of the educational programs that are available. Mainly, these are all in Texas, but there's different colleges that offer programs that are meant to serve people who have some sort of either intellectual or developmental disability. Things like the STEPS program at Austin Community College. Lone Star College has their Life Path program. A&M has Aggie Achieves and Paths program. Now, As you're looking through these are just some of the options out there at different colleges in Texas. Um, we don't work for them and they don't work for us. We don't get any referral fee or anything like that for telling you about them. We are just sharing programs that we've heard of, that some of our clients have used and enjoyed, and things that you can check out. But please take the time to do some homework if any of these programs sound interesting to you. And of course, we always love to hear feedback. So if your child is in any of these programs, we would love to know what you think about it. So I want to draw your attention to this program in particular called Campus Connections. It's offered through Bloom Consulting. And again, they don't work with us or for us, and we don't work for them, but it's a good program that we've heard of. And Bloom Consulting is a company that we've sent many clients to, and we've never had clients who were disappointed that they used Bloom Consulting to help them. So their Campus Connections program, it really helps support neurodiverse college students as they go off into a college. You go to the school of your choice, and they offer you in-person or virtual supports. They use a planning process and they use an assessment called the Berkman Method Assessment, where they look at what your child really needs to succeed in college. They give you a support team. That support team and that connections coach work with your student to give them mentoring, guidance, navigational support. It really empowers your student to be a little bit more prepared to advocate for themselves, to problem solve a little better, and really gives them that ability and the critical thinking skills, helps them with all of those things. Now, it's not free. Campus Connections through Bloom Consulting costs about $1,000 a month last time we checked. It is private pay. They don't take insurance. But if you are working with vocational rehab through the Texas Workforce Commission, and they say that your child needs this in their plan, they might be willing to help you pay for it. So work with your VR counselor on that if you want to use this Campus Connections. And the contact info is down there. We'll send that out later today. I see a note in the chat box, so I'll go ahead and read that out. Good advice about getting medical power of attorney for all adult children. But you also raised the issue that for children that live out to state, you need to make sure that somehow you will be contacted if a medical issue arises. In college, there should be someone there, like a registrar or roommates or college clinic, who should be advised and might be able to reach out to you, let you know, I think. And in a workplace, HR might be able to reach out to you, or their boss. You know, if your child gets a job, they have coworkers, they have a boss, they have HR department who are watching out for this person. They should be informed of your contact info so that if something happens, they can contact you. I gave my cell phone number to my child's college roommates. He doesn't live on campus anymore. Actually, he's finished with college now, but I made sure that last time that I visited that my number was on their refrigerator and in their phones. But also, again, his work activities, his friends, the school, the professors, let them know, you know, hey, if something goes wrong, here's my info. I don't think there's any harm in that. Okay, back to the next slide. So special needs planning, what do we mean by that? There's a lot that is involved. And like I said, part of what we want to do is help weed out the noise so that you can focus on what's most important. So there are special needs financial planners like what we do. We help you with the money side and the benefits and making sure that you have all of that in place. There are also attorneys who focus on special needs issues. So you're going to need an attorney to help you set up your will, which is really important. You're also probably going to need a special needs trust if you want your child to receive SSI and Medicaid benefits and to keep those benefits. You're going to need a special needs trust. And if guardianship is in your future, or you want that power of attorney, you might need an attorney to help you set that up. Definitely would need an attorney for guardianship. That's a big process. But they help you set up the legal parameters and the framework legally, the paperwork part of it. We help you set up the financial framework part of it. We suggest that you build a team of experts. You've been working with a lot already. You've got teachers, you've got doctors, therapists, all kinds of experts who are on your team to help your child. And we want you to have a financial advisor and an attorney who are well-versed in special needs topics. We want you to have those people on your team as well. And don't forget to build out your team with neighbors and relatives and friends who will be able to help if you ever need it, and who know your child and can be kind of that support system that they need. There's, one organizer, graphic organizer that I saw that showed, kind of a bullseye. There's you and your family and the people who really know your child. And then next circle out is kind of those really close family and friends. And then as you go out, there's your doctors and teachers and the team that you have to pay to be there and offer support and advice. But you need several layers for your team. Okay, so think about who your support team is. When you're thinking about special needs planning, it's important to look at where you are, right? And where you want to be. When you put in an address in your GPS to go somewhere, it tracks you from where you are starting. And we have to know where you're starting to help you figure out how to get to where you want to go. So one way to figure out where you're starting from is to start gathering up your planning documents. Any planning that you've already done for your child legally, or for yourself for retirement, savings accounts, things like that. Take a good look, and you'd be surprised how many people don't even know what they have right now. Take a look at what you have, what is available to you, what have you already set up? And then you can see a better picture of, okay, this is where I am. This is where I want to go. Here are some ways that I can get there. A letter of intent is a great place to start with special needs planning. This is extremely helpful and important to have in place in case somebody has to step into your role as the main caregiver for your loved one. You know more about your child. You've forgotten more about your child than anyone else will ever know. So a letter of intent is a great document for you to put together that will help anybody who has to step in. I used to be an English teacher. And so the English teacher part of me says, well, if you start with a Word document on your laptop, start with the facts, who your child is, where they were born, who mom and dad and siblings, family members are. Start getting the facts. What were their diagnoses? What medications are they on? What medications do they need to take on a daily basis? But then you're going to start, the facts will lead you into the more detailed aspects of your child's life that are more personal to them. Like, okay, so maybe they have to take this medicine every day. How do you give them that medicine? Do they take medicine easily? Do you need to crush it up, put it in applesauce, put it in a drink? How does your child take medication? Not just a list of this is what they take. Maybe, you would say in your letter of intent that your child does not need help physically getting dressed, but they need help putting together outfits because they don't really understand that they can't wear shorts and a tank top when it's 30 degrees outside, or, whatever it may be. Or you might even have in your letter of intent, your children's favorite hobbies and meals and how to calm them down if their world is falling apart, or what things you might accidentally do to cause their world to fall apart and them have one of those moments. The more information you can share about your family in the letter of intent, the easier it will be for someone else to step in if they ever need to. And please involve your children in writing this letter. It's a love letter to your family. It's a love letter about how you take care of them. So they should definitely be involved in what you have to say. And consider your vision for the future, not just what do you want for your future, but what do you want for your children and for their lives? And how do you plan on getting there? That's what we're really working on, is that special needs planning. These are the first few steps to take. Okay, I don't see any more questions or comments in the chat box, so I'm going to keep on going. So people often ask us, well, when should we start planning? Our child was just diagnosed. They're 3 months old, or 3 years old, or 13 years old, or 30 years old. You should start planning as early as you can. It is so important, and it will help so much throughout the coming years if you have done some work, done some groundwork, and thought about some of these things ahead of time. It's going to help you sleep better at night. It's going to help you have things in place and your systems and your support team. And really, you'll be able to have a much greater impact the earlier you get started. So how much do you need to fund your special needs trust? Do you know? I mean, let's go ahead and put some numbers in the chat box if you have any idea of how much you think your loved one needs to have in their special needs trust. We can help you figure that out. Of course, that's what we do. And I know a good range of where people usually fall, but you have to take into consideration what benefits your child is getting, if they are able to work at all to offset some of those costs, and how that work will affect the benefit that they get, the cost of care for their future. Are they going to need a residential community to live in? Do they need full-time care? Or do they just need an attendant to check in a couple times a week? Do they need full-time care or partial care? What other benefits do you have that your child will receive, like your Social Security benefits? Once you turn on your Social Security, either in your retirement, or if you become disabled, or if you pass away, your child will receive Social Security benefits based on your work record. It does not take away from what you get, but it will help provide support for your child. So we take that into consideration as well when we're thinking about how much money you need to leave in your child's trust. And then, like I said, what happens when you're gone? Who's going to take care of your child? So I don't see any guesses in the chat box. That tells me that maybe you're a little lost and you don't have any idea. Good job, John. 3 million, John guesses. Maybe you have no idea how much money you're going to need in the trust. And one thing we always say is, let's say 3 million is your number. After we go through your comprehensive financial plan, we come up and we say, okay, 3 million, John, is what you need once you pass away to leave to your child to make sure they're taken care of. But, through the power of investing, you don't really need to invest $3 million to have $3 million to pay for your child's needs. So we could even help you figure out the break-even point, how much you really need to set aside in that trust, invested wisely. And you'll see that it'll start growing at first, and then you'll start drawing down those assets as your child needs them. John, 3 million is a great guess and very close to what we typically see. So now you're thinking, okay, if my child needs 3 million, if that ends up being our number, how on earth am I going to come up with $3 million to leave to my child? So let's talk about that a little bit. How are you going to fund your child's care once you're gone? First of all, those federal and state programs are extremely valuable. They can help provide money for housing. They can provide transportation, therapies. The waiver programs are really, really great. Now, they do have a really, really long wait list right now. Hopefully in the future that will change, but you have to get on the waiting list for those waiver programs as early as you possibly can. And if you're not on the waiting list yet for those waiver programs, please reach out to me or to the office. We will help you understand how to get set up on that waiting list, okay? Because it can be 20 to 25 years waiting for those waiver programs. Now, yes, getting on the waiting list is something we can help you with. We'll tell you how to do it, who to call, and what to tell them, okay? We want to make sure that you preserve their eligibility for state and federally funded programs so you don't mess that up. You know, when your child turns 18, they should be able to apply for SSI benefits, and most children should be able to get that SSI benefit when they turn 18, as long as they don't have more than $2,000 in their name and they're not working, earning more than the substantial gainful amount. So they can't have more than $2,000 in a bank account or, you know, in their name, but they can have more than $2,000 in an ABLE account or in a special needs trust. The government has set aside those two vehicles, and they say you can have money here or here. We won't count that against you for your state and federally funded programs. But if you have money in other places, that's going to count as an asset or as income and could cut back those other benefits that your child deserves. So you really should establish a special needs trust. The special needs trust is where you can put any amount of money. You can put millions and millions of dollars into the special needs trust. This is typically where, like your life insurance and any investment accounts, you can leave those things to your child's trust. Then your child can use that money for things that they need in the future. Now, you are not supposed to use the special needs trust for daily needs like food, shelter, cash, things like that, even utilities. So how can your loved one pay for those things? And why not use the special needs trust for that, right? Is that maybe what you're questioning? Well, if you use the special needs trust to pay for food and shelter and utilities, daily living things, then their SSI benefits will be reduced by 1/3. Now, you have to first determine, do I care if my SSI benefit is reduced by 1/3? For a long period of your child's life, that's going to be a big issue, and you want to get as much SSI as you possibly can. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't get that cut down. So if you can't use the special needs trust to pay for rent, what do? You can use the ABLE account to pay for rent. And ABLE is a different section of the 529 college savings plan. So you have 529C for college, which many people have heard of. There's also the 529A ABLE account. An ABLE account is a place where you can put money for your child as long as they have a disability that began before age 26. They can have an ABLE account. You put money in, and the way it typically works is there are fees for them to manage and invest and maintenance fees to take care of that money. But they do invest the money wisely, and it grows, and then the growth is not taxed. Unlike the special needs trust where you can put any amount of money you want. You can only put up to $17,000 this year. Next year, that amount is going to go up to $18,000. And you can put in an additional $13,590 if your child is working. Now, a caveat to that is that you never want your ABLE account to go above $100,000. And there are those limits on how much you can put in each year, but there are no limits on what you can use the money for in the ABLE account. It stands for achieving a better life experience. So as long as this money is helping your loved one achieve a better life experience, you can use the ABLE account to pay for it. So those are the two main differences, and I hope you've caught that. I'll go through it one more time quickly. The special needs trust, you can put in as much money as you want, but as long as you are relying on SSI benefits, you don't want to use the special needs trust to pay for food, shelter, cash, utilities. On the other hand, the ABLE account, you can only put in $17,000 this year, $18,000 next year, and you never ever want it to go above $100,000 total. But you can use it on pretty much anything you want for your child. So the ABLE account is you set aside money that you're going to spend on your child. The special needs trust is kind of there for those larger things like an inheritance, the life insurance, things like that, that are going to be a big dollar amount that you can set aside. Okay. Okay, next slide, the ABLE account, more information about that. So the beneficiary, your child, is the owner of the account. Anybody can put money into it for your child. Grandma and grandpa can put money into the ABLE account, aunts and uncles. They can even put money into their ABLE account. For example, if they're working, you can transfer money from their bank account to the ABLE account to make sure that they're not building up more than that $2,000. Or when they're getting their SSI benefits, which, this year it was $914 a month. Next year is going to be $943 a month. So, you get a couple checks for $943. And if you're saving rather than spending it, then your child's bank account is going to go over $2,000 within a few months. So you can scooch that money on over to the ABLE account and then use it later. The income that is earned in the ABLE account is not taxable. Unfortunately, they don't give a federal tax exemption or deduction for putting money into the ABLE account. Now, some states do give you a tax deduction on your state taxes, but since Texas doesn't even have state taxes, we can't do that here. Again, it does not jeopardize SSI benefits or Medicaid or any other public benefits, but there are limits on how much you can put in. This year, it's $17,000. Next year is $18,000. The trick is that it is whatever the annual gift tax exclusion is, that's the amount that you're going to be able to put into the ABLE account each year. There are over 50 different ABLE accounts across the United States, and you do not have to choose the ABLE account that is sponsored by the state that you live in. Almost every state has a state-sponsored ABLE account. Texas has one, but you don't have to use the Texas account if you live in Texas. You have the ability to find one that fits your needs, has low fees, maybe is easy to sign up with. Check out how easy it is to get your money in and out. Check out the workings of the ABLE account programs before you jump into one. And of course, we can help you set up an ABLE account. That's a financial thing. So we can help you set up the ABLE account and get you enrolled and set up the account transfers and all of that for you. Now, special needs trust, we cannot help you set up because you have to have an attorney help you do that. So in this instance, we would refer you to an attorney in your area who focuses on special needs topics. That would be like for your special needs trust. for guardianship, and any other things that you need, like your will, other things like that, the healthcare power of attorney, supported decision-making agreements, anything that has to be done through an attorney, we can refer you to one. Guardianship, as a matter of fact, if you think that you need guardianship for your child, you can start that process when you're within 6 months of them turning 18 years old. Here's some other great resources for you. Again, these links should be clickable. If not, please let me know. Dude, Where's My Transition Plan is one. The Oregon Transition Handbook is very helpful. And then we found Texas Reality Check to be another helpful website to send you in the right direction in case you need additional resources regarding this transition period. There are some great programs. These are, again, focusing on Texas, focusing kind of around Houston area because that's where we're located, but we can help you find transition and residential programs anywhere. And this is only a short part of the lists that we keep and the things that we know about from being in the special needs community for so long. Again, clickable links for you. If they don't work, send me a quick note and let me know. But there's a lot of opportunity out there. You do have to plan early because sometimes these places have wait lists that can be long. So you want to make sure you know about those. And you want to give yourself some time to tour the places and make sure it's a good fit for you and your family. Okay, we're wrapping it up here. So this link will take you to the events tab on our website. Our website is consolidatedplanninggroup.com, and this will take you to the listing of all the webinars. So maybe you cannot attend all of them, but you can register for them through this link. And then once you're registered, we will always send you the slides and a link to the recording after the webinar is finished. So even if you happen to miss out, you can watch the recording anytime and look at the slides and have all of the helpful information. Yes, of course, we're going to be emailing you the webinar and the slides. Whatever email address that you used to sign up for this webinar today is where we're going to send that. So hopefully you didn't give us a fake email. It happens sometimes. Things to keep on your planning radar. Future care cost estimates, the different programs that are available, ABLE accounts, SSI, residential living communities, all of these things we have webinars about. We are always here to help you. We've even had some where we speak with attorneys and have other guest speakers. So please use us as a resource. We're here to help. This is our team. Again, we are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We are National Social Security Advisors. You can see across the top row, Allison and Jeff are the owners of the company. They're a husband and wife team. And then there's my glamour shot and my bearded husband. We're the other two advisors on the team. And then we actually have just hired another operations expert who helps us. But the 4 women on the bottom, and we're adding 1 guy, they help us with all of the paperwork and phone calls and marketing and stuff like that, and really help keep us on track. So I see a fantastic question in the chat box. Is there any way we can set up a Zoom meeting or a phone call to discuss these topics further? Here you go, Autumn. We offer everybody a free initial consultation. So this takes place over Zoom. It typically lasts between 30 to 45 minutes. And during this Zoom call, we want to answer your questions first and foremost. We want to give you as much help as we can. Now, there are certain things that we can't answer without you working with us and planning with us, but there's a lot of little things we can help you with along the way. So we answer your questions, and then we get to know you and your family a little bit by asking some questions about you. And then we go into, okay, this is how we work. These are the packages we offer, how you can work with us, etc. You have your chance to pick our brains. You'll either meet with myself, my husband, or Allison. And then we'll, like I said, tell you all about how we work. You can schedule through the QR code, and you could also go ahead and call or email us. We will be reaching out to you to see if you want to schedule your free consultation. Also, there's our YouTube channel, Instagram, our podcast, and our Facebook for you to check out. As we're wrapping up, I want to let you know that, we have a lot of great things coming in 2024 that we're excited to share with you. One thing that we are working on right now is a testimonials page for our website. So if you have worked with us, or even if you have something to say positive about our webinars or anything like that, we would love to get those notes. I'm going to go ahead and put my email in the chat. You can email me with any notes that we could use as testimonials, pictures of you and your loved ones. We love pictures so that we can put those on our website and in our marketing instead of using stock photos. That would be really great. And again, we hope to provide you with a lot of great information. Here's a question that we want to talk about.
One here about the ABLE account.
Yeah,
Already
can
set
we?
up an ABLE account even when our adult SSI is still pending approval. He's turning 20.
Yes, yes. You can set up an ABLE account anytime. It's great for when your children start getting their SSI money when they turn 18, because that way you're helping make sure that bank account doesn't go over 2,000. But if you want to start setting aside money for your child who is even younger, you can open an ABLE account. If you are a little further later in the game, that's fine too. You don't have to do it right when they turn 19 or 18 or 20 or anything. Whenever you get around to it, you can open up this ABLE account. Again, we can help you with that. If it's not, a top priority for you right now, we can let you know that too. Sometimes people come to us, I heard I need an ABLE account. Okay, well, let's get into the particulars of your situation and make sure that you really need it right now. Maybe it's easier for you just to save in your own account for now and open an ABLE account later. But we can help you with all of those questions. Feel free to reach out. And like I said, if you would be willing to share a testimonial about our webinars, or if you've worked with us, my email is there. If you would be willing to share photos, we would love to have you sign a release so that we can use those photos. But again, if you have any questions, truly, we are here to help. If you happen to be listening on our podcast, and unless there's any more questions, these are one of the last things I'll say, is that if you're listening on our podcast and you want a copy of these slides, please email us contact@cpgcares.net. Again, that's contact@cpgcares.net, and we can email you the slides from this webinar. Okay, again, thank you all so much for being here with us today. We love working with all of you. We love that you take the time to listen to our webinars, and we truly hope that they're helpful for you. Reach out with any questions or comments or concerns that you have, and please go ahead and schedule your free consultation. It only takes about 30 to 45 minutes, and I promise we don't bite. Okay, have a great day, and happy holidays if your holiday comes up and I don't get to talk to you before then. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.